Hello, my name is Marlon Smith, and so happy to have you. October 22nd, 2020, and you're at the right place at the right time. Go ahead and type in the chat box where you're watching from, because we love to see who's here. You know, we've had people all over the world tune in, and people have shared how much the Real Money Coach has really been a blessing for them, because we're here to share information that makes a difference. Listen, I know there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of chatter. But you're at the right place at the right time. And tonight, we have a very special treat for you. You see, this gentleman who I'm about to bring up on the stage, as they say, is a man who's really committed to making a difference. Over 23 years of success in financial services. He's a CFEI, Certified Financial Education Instructor. He's also an individual who is a father man, a friend, a husband, a grandfather, as well as a leader. And I believe that shows you the possibilities. It's a possibility for you to maximize and be a true leader in all the areas of your life. And so I'm very excited. Type in the chat box where you're watching from. Oh my goodness, Malcolm Aaron, this is my brother. What is going on, man? So happy to have you. See, this is really a reunion. And I love technology. I understand COVID-19 has turned things upside down, but I also understand the power of technology, how it can connect us and it can unite us. And so with that, I'm very excited. Let's go ahead and bring the man of the hour, the living legend, the man who really, he believes he's the best singer. I mean, I don't know where he gets it from, but he's from Michigan. And so, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, he's a University of Michigan fan. Okay, I mean, look, I have to start wearing blue just to be around him. All right, so let's bring Tony Jackson up on the stage. Tony, how are you doing?
Hey, Marlon, how you? Where you sing from, man? Because I don't sing, yo. I don't sing. I know. When you said that, it just made me crack up, man. Because you know, those who know me well, they know that I ought to sing under my breath, right?
Right.
Yeah, awesome, man. Glad to be here tonight. Wow, man, there's so much going on. Things are moving so fast.
Yes, they are.
Wow, man. You know, things are really moving. And, you know, God's good, man, even in the midst of everything that's happening. You know, we're staying busy. There's so much work to do. You know, as they say, you know, the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. And so I love the people who are checking in. We got Ruth Bell, we got Alice Martin, we got Dr. Bonita Harris. So some great people, great folks, man, that come in and tune in with us every single week. And so, you know, that's just a blessing. We don't take you for granted. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so with that, Tony, I know that tonight's very special. You know, I mean, one of the things that we're really talking about is, you know, making a difference and really taking it to the next level. And I'm excited. You know, you've got this download, you know, iPad your money, right? iPad your money, right? Increase, protect, and dominate your money, right? Yeah. And so I want to find out, you know, what was the impetus? What, you know, where did this inspiration come from? You know, because I know already, you know, iPad, right? Increase, protect, and dominate. And in the chat box, while you're listening, type in the chat box, which of those three words are you most excited about? Is it increasing your money? Is it protecting your money? Is it dominating your money? Type in the chat box. I just want to see what resonates with you. But Tony, how did you get this information?
Well, man, actually, you know, it was kind of a couple years in the making. I was doing an iPad presentation a couple years ago, did it at the Power Networking Conference and kind of evolved in some new things being added to it. And one of the things about it, man, is you got to be continuous learning, right? So I'm always learning, always, you know, gain more knowledge. And I went to some classes, you know, some master classes on some of the things that we do, what we talk about. And so, you know, so it just kind of evolves, you know, it just kind of evolved. And, you know, just thank God for, you know, giving creativity. And you know, and we have such a team because, you know, yourself, Chris Jackson, and so many more, right? I mean, when I think about our team,
Yes.
you know, you got Del Ryan, you got Brad Hudson, and it's bad to call names because you don't want to leave anyone out, but
Right.
Jerry Lights, and there's so many people on our team that, you know, really work together. And so I'm just really blessed to do what I do and love what I do. I absolutely love all the things that I do. And
Great.
see here, you got Chad Lawson. He says he's in Ohio, but he says go blue, right? So Big Ten opens up this weekend, so we're looking forward to that. And I like Alice Barton. She said she liked dominating her money. She wants to dominate her money. I like that. I like that word, dominate.
Right.
And what does dominate really mean, man? And it really means having dominion. And, you know, when we think about the instruction that God gave us, he said, you know, go subdue the earth and have dominion. And so we were really intended from the foundation of the world and to God's very existence to really have dominion over our possessions.
Sure.
You know, we had dominion in the garden. We had dominion. And so what we want to do is show you how to give a little piece of that dominion back, you know, over your money, over your finances. How do we have dominion? Because the thing about it is, we always say this in our classes too, is like, if you don't tell your money where to go, your money goes where it wants.
Right.
And that may not necessarily be the best thing for you. So how do you have dominion over your money? I love it.
Good. Well, brother, I'm excited, man, because I think that, you know, one of the things, you know, when you really think about it, increase, you know, that means having your money. I look at it, you know, it's growing. Okay. Increasing your money, protecting, right? You know, I mean, you know, we saw earlier, and that was the launch of this whole virtual town hall, the Real Money Group, where on April 2nd, we started off. And the thing is that it was as a response to COVID-19 and how it had impacted the stock market. And so with that, you know, we just said, hey, you know, let's show people, because the stock market was spiraling and people were really nervous. And so we said, okay, look, there's some things out here you can do to protect your wealth. And then now we're talking about and dominate. You know, and now you're bringing it to dominion. And I want all of our viewers to understand that, you know, there is greatness within you. And the thing is, you have to have the mindset, you have to have the belief that you deserve it. I mean, I'm talking to myself. As I said that, I talked to myself, right? And so, you know, I'm excited, Tony. So let's really unpack it, man, so that we have enough time for Q&A. You know, let's go ahead and get into iPad for money.
And so we wanted to share this with our audience. Really, first, we've really been working on this and perfecting this presentation that you're about to see tonight. And we really wanted to show it to really our Real Money Coach family, right? So we shared it with a small group earlier. I had some technical difficulties and those type of things, but we really wanted to share this with the Real Money Coach family so you all can see it. You can give us some feedback. You can look at the information, absorb it. Some of it you've seen before, but it's been repackaged. Let's say it that way. It's been repackaged just for you. We're going to debut this nationally next week at the PNC conference, virtual conference, Dr. George Frazier's virtual conference. But we want to give it to you first. So this is the beta version, but we think it's pretty good. So shall we jump into it?
Let's go ahead and jump into it.
All right. Well, I think my screen is on here, and I am going to pull this up, and you guys let me know. Are you able to see my screen right now? It's just gray. Can you see my screen right now? All right. Why don't you just shoot me a text? Let me know, and we're gonna get rolling on this. So, again, my name is Tony Jackson. You guys know me. You've been coming to the show, and our goal really is to help you achieve a state of financial wellness so that you can live the lifestyle you desire. And that's really what we do. And when you think about that financial wellness, when you think about being in a place where you can live the lifestyle you desire is different for each person. And so, but that's very important. And as we mentioned, the title of this particular presentation is Increase, Protect, and Dominate. iPad, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. And when you think about it, most financial advisors, they stop at increase. They never get to how do you protect your money from the stock market? How do you protect it from taxes? How do you protect it from the spin down process? And ultimately, what we're saying is that if you're not protecting your money, then you really don't have dominion over it. In order to have dominion over it, you got to really protect it from those things. And so we'll get into this and we really start talking about financial wellness. Really, there's 5 cornerstones. The first one is stock market protection. How do I put myself in a position, and this is what we coach, this is what we recommend, where when the market goes up, I make money, but when the market goes down, I don't lose any money. And so maximizing your gains, minimize your losses. We're going to unpack that a little bit further here in a few minutes. And then the second really major pillar is income tax protection. Again, how do I pay the lowest possible income tax in retirement? And I'll tell you, and I know this from even some of you on this call tonight, is that many people are hit so hard in retirement because of taxes. And it's just that's the one thing we didn't expect. We didn't expect to get into retirement and end up having to pay more in taxes than we thought we would. So how do we protect ourselves from that? And the third pillar is medical cost protection. How do I protect myself from things like critical illness, chronic illness? We know 40% of foreclosures are due to some type of medical crisis, 60% of bankruptcies. But more importantly, from a financial planning standpoint, how do we protect ourselves from that spin down process? In order to get Medicare or Medicaid to pay any of those expenses, then we have to spend down all our assets. So how do I protect myself from that? And then legacy protection. And what we're talking about here is, in many ways, we're talking about life insurance. And 50% of adults have no life insurance. And if it moves up to even 70% if you want to count people who have it outside of work. Many people only have it at work. And so what we believe is this. We believe that life insurance is one of those vehicles that allows you not only to build wealth, but also to transfer that wealth to the next generation, because we believe in generational wealth. And then, I'm reminded of the scripture, what profit the man to gain the whole world and lose his soul, right? And from a financial standpoint, what we're talking about here is you do all these things, you protect your money from the stock market, you protect it from income taxes, medical crisis, you have life insurance, but if we don't have a will to direct it, what happens to it when we pass, then we just not completed the full circle. 70% of Americans have no will, no healthcare power of attorney, not to mention other great estate planning things like trust and those type of things. And what about just having an attorney available when you need one? I mean, how many of us have attorneys that are on retainer that we can call when we need? So we look at all these things and we said, once we can complete this, now we're in a state of real financial wellness. So let's talk about how money works. Obviously, when we talk about retirement, wealth, and all those things, most of the time we're talking stocks and mutual funds. And the great news is that you can make a lot of money on the stock market. Stock market goes up, you can make a lot of money. We know that. We've seen it. Most very wealthy people have made some money in the stock market in some kind of way. Well, on the flip side of that is also the risk. So just like you can make the money, you also can lose it, oftentimes a whole lot faster than you can make it. And so unfortunately, what a lot of people do is they'll run and they'll do things like bank accounts, money market accounts. If you open an account at Wachovia or Wells Fargo or Bank of America or any of these banks, you know that you're probably not going to lose any of your money. Your money is really safe. But the problem is you're not making any money either. So the interest rate that they're paying really doesn't even keep pace with inflation. And so that's where we bring in the concept and teach the strategy of a fixed index. With a fixed index, again, when the market goes up, you make money. When the market goes down, you don't lose any. So you're either making money or you're breaking even. You're making money or you're just breaking even. And that's really important. We feel like everyone should have at least some of their money in a position where they know that they're not going to lose any. And so the one thing that we must admit is none of us can predict the future. And so what we do is we take a historical perspective. And if we take a historical look at the S&P 500, which is the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the United States, take a look at that, we realize that there's these patterns that occur. Every 10 years or so, there's a market crash, market correction, whatever you want to call it, but we have these things that have been a pattern ever since the Great Depression. Now, this is a snapshot of the S&P 500 for the last 20 years, ending December 31st, 2019. And as we can see, in the early part of the early 2000s, the market went down for 3 years in a row. Then it started to go back up. In 2008, it crashed. And so when we look at that, that's a 23% loss in 2002 and a 38% loss in 2008 alone. And then the market's kind of been going up, and we had a negative year in 2018. But we know these patterns happen. That's not unusual. But what we have to be careful of is how long does it take to get out of it? And when we look at this in early 2000, it took 8 years to get back to where the market was in 1999. That's 8 years. We call it the lost decade, right? Because we lost all the income in that 10-year period of time. It's the lost decade. 8 years to recover, and then it crashes in 2008, and it takes another 5 years to recover from that. And when we string all that together, you're talking about 13 years of your investment life that's gone just to break even. And I'm sure most of you, if I came knocking at your door with this wonderful investment opportunity, and I say, hey, listen, put your money here, and 13 years from now, you're going to break even. Most of you would say, get out of here, right? Because I can cut a hole in my mattress and break even. But that's exactly what people experience on the market and not even really realize it. And of course, all of this was before COVID-19. COVID-19 turned this whole thing upside down. So now the market is crashing. We know that a lot of it has come back, but they're expecting, and they're saying this is according to the Congressional Budget Office, it's going to take 10 years, a full decade for our economy to recover. So what do we do? And that's where we bring in the concept of a fixed index strategy. Now, with the fixed index strategy, again, when the market's going down, you just stay even. Market goes up, you make money. So if we look at this same market, same period of time, just a different strategy, we get out here to 2007, 2008, the market crashes, you stay the same. And what really makes this work is this, that you never have to dig out of these holes. You never have to worry about these dips. And I'm just, wise enough, smart enough, simple enough to believe that the quickest way up is not to be going down. And this is exactly what we do here. We put you in a position where you're never moving down. You're either moving up or you're staying level. And anyone in my industry has been in as long as I have, 23 years, we love to quote this guy, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, when the reporter asked him, and arguably he's probably the greatest investor of our lifetime, definitely the most quoted investor. And so they asked Warren Buffett this question: what is your rules for investing? And he said the number one rule is to never lose money. And I know many of you heard this, some of you may not. When they asked him, well, okay, I get that. What's the next rule? What's rule number 2? And he says, don't forget rule number 1. And so if Warren Buffett, with all of his billions of dollars, says his number 1 rule, the number 2 rule is never to lose money, then it probably makes sense for us to listen to that advice and at least protect a portion of our portfolio. And so that's really what we aim to do. Now, let's look at it from a practical standpoint. This is one of the carriers in which we use this indexing strategy. Again, the S&P, early 2000, the market went down 10%, 13%, 23%. On the fixed indexing strategy, you lose zero. And so we use the phrase, zero becomes your new hero. And then we get out here to 2008, the market crashes, loses 38%. What do you lose? Nothing. Again, zero is the new hero. And so if we look at this over a 20-year period of time, what is happening is the S&P averages about 4%, and with the power of the indexing, we're looking at upwards of 10.2. Now, what really makes this work is the simple fact that we keep you out of the red. So if you never lose money, you don't have to make up for those losses. Because when we look at this and we look under the first red box, the year 2003 was a great year, 26% return. But you had to make up for the 23% the year before, and the 13 before that, and the 10 before that. Same thing 2009 under the next red box. 23% return 1 year, but you got to make up for the 38% that you lost the year before. And so this right here is foundational to much of what we do in that first pillar of being in a position where you're never losing money. You're either making money or you're breaking even. And I always use this. I said, if the stock market crashed tonight, lost 40%, it'd be all over the news tomorrow. I don't care what news outlet you watch or whatever. It would be plastered all over the news, right? But what if you lost 40% due to taxes? Nobody's throwing up a red flag. It's not newsworthy that we're giving up 40% of our income because of taxes, but many of us, that's exactly what we're dealing with. And so we have to deal with this issue of taxes. Now, this is according to the American Tax Planning Institute. It says that for most people, the biggest threat to your financial security is taxes. Now, this dollar represents every dollar collected by the Internal Revenue Service. And this is straight from the Government Accountability Office. 28% goes to Social Security. 28% goes to the interest on the national debt, not the principal, just the interest. 21% to Medicare, Medicaid. We can also throw defense spending in there. Now, when we think about our present situation, COVID-19, Social Security, 50 million people file for unemployment. That means 50 million people and their employer is not putting into the Social Security Trust Fund. But yet in the United States of America, there's 10,000 people every day turning 65. And what do most people do when they're 65? They go down and file for their Social Security benefits, right? And so now you have a situation where you got 50 million less people putting in, but yet 10,000 people more every day pulling out. Where is that money going to come from? Okay, let's move over to the national debt. The government put in $5 trillion into the economy. Stimulus checks, if you were lucky and blessed enough to get one. Unemployment increases. PPP, payroll protection plan for small businesses. Thank God for all those things, because that's the only thing that kept us from completely collapsing as an economy. But the question still remains, where is the money coming from? And the last I knew, our government only has one way to raise revenue, and that's through the taxes. And believe me, it's not the Ross Perot, the Mike Bloombergs, the Donald Trumps, the rich and the wealthy that are going to bear the brunt of it. It's going to be you and I. It's going to be the average person. Now, check this out. Here, this is the national debt calculator. And I want you to just Google that later. National debt calculator. What the government has done is they've assigned over $200,000 of the U.S. debt to each taxpayer. If we were to look at that today, it would probably be over $217,000 for every taxpayer. That's your portion of the government's debt as a citizen of the United States. And look, the big three: Medicare, right down there in the gray, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, defense spending, and then interest on this national debt. And the government owes over $7 trillion to foreign governments. And if we know this, if the government knows this, what are they doing about it? Absolutely nothing. This is a direct quote from the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin. He said, in different times, we'd fix the deficit. It's not the time to worry about it. Well, when is the time going to come to worry about it? Is it when you retire? Is it when your kids retire? When your grandkids retire? Sooner or later, someone's got to pay the bill. Let me get straight. When you get your paycheck, they take taxes out of your check. And then you go out and you buy something with money that's been taxed. You got to turn around and pay sales tax. And then every April, you got to file your income taxes. And if you haven't paid enough in taxes, you got to pay some more in taxes. And then when you die, your kids, your beneficiaries, got to pay death taxes on the money that's already been taxed. Could this really be true? And it is. Taxes, taxes, taxes. You got to hedge against this. You got to hedge against it. And guess what? They're not done. I ask people this question: how much do you owe the IRS? And you know what they'll say? I don't owe the IRS anything. That's what most people say. Well, every once in a while, someone will say, well, I owe them a little something, something. But most people say, I don't owe the IRS anything. I pay my taxes every year. Every once in a while, I get a refund or whatever. Well, guess what? If you have a tax qualified account, you owe taxes, because you cannot walk into wherever that money is. I'm talking 401k, 403b, IRA, all of those things. SEP, if you're self-employed, KEO, all those things. You can't walk in and say, I want my money, and not pay any taxes. You're going to have to pay taxes. You're going to have to pay taxes on that money. And so they're just waiting to figure out when to start collecting from you. And guess what? The older you get, the harder it hits you. So for that reason, you guys, we got to talk about tax planning. Tax planning is not the same as tax preparation. Tax preparation is, how do I pay the least amount of taxes every April? Tax planning is, how do I pay the least amount of taxes in my lifetime? So check it out. There's 3 buckets of money. There's a taxable bucket, tax now. There's a tax deferred bucket, tax later. And then there's a tax free, which is tax never. And my question to everyone is, which of those buckets is better? The majority of everyone I talk to, I would say 99%, everyone says the tax-free bucket. And you're right, that is the better bucket. The problem is, we put all our money in the tax-deferred bucket. It grows in the tax-deferred bucket, but when it comes out of the taxable bucket. It never hits the tax-free bucket. And if we all agree that the tax-free bucket is better, then why don't we put any money there? Here's the reason. No one ever coached us to do it. So what we coach is this: put some money in the taxable bucket, pay the taxes on it now, let it grow tax deferred, but come out income tax free. In other words, here's the analogy. If you have a $20,000 seed and that seed grows to a $200,000 harvest, right? Would you rather pay taxes on the seed or on the harvest? And as for me in my house, I'd rather pay it on the seed. So let's sum this up. Here we got these traditional money rules. These are the rules that everyone plays by. It's what they tell us at work. We do these rules. Well, the first rule is there's market risk, right? You got to risk money to make money. And there's some truth to that. We've heard that cliche all our life. Then there's the 59.5 rule. 59.5 rule is if you take money out of your retirement plan before you're 59.5, guess what? You pay taxes and penalties for that. Then we have the 72 rule. That's called RMDs, required minimum distribution. It just moved to age 72. It was 70.5. And what that rule says is that in the tax year that you turn 72, if you do not start taking money out of your tax qualified retirement account, there's a 50% penalty for not taking it out. In other words, if the government, the IRS, says you're supposed to take out $10,000, you don't, they're going to hit you with a $5,000 tax bill. Then we have, of course, income tax. Now, let's just expose this a little bit more. This 72 rule also applies when you leave the money to anyone other than a spouse beneficiary. So if you leave it to your kids, your grandkids, and it's tax qualified money, we used to do what we did, a stretch IRA. We could stretch that money out just like the 72 rule. However, now they have to pay taxes in a condensed period of time. Regardless of their age, regardless of the tax bracket they in, it might actually put them in a higher tax bracket. Now, income tax. This is interesting to me because when we're married, filing joint, and we're in these working years, we're deferring this money. We're putting it into 401k, 403b. We're putting it into the retirement plan, just like they tell us to do. And we are deferring, not eliminating the taxes. We're deferring the taxes based on the lowest income tax rate, married, filing joint. But when we then get to retirement, if we are a widow or widower, and now we're taking the money out, we're paying taxes at the single person tax rate, which is the highest tax rate. So we deferred the money at the lowest tax rate, but now we got to pay it out at the highest tax rate. And it's all true. So what we bring in is the smart money rules. Smart money rules say this: there's no market risk, right? That's where we're moving you off of the red line onto the blue line. There's no 59.5 rule. You have the money available, you can use it for whatever you want. There's no penalty, there's no taxes. There's no 72 rule, no required minimum distribution, RMD. You can leave that money for your family. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. No one's going to force you to take that money out. And guess what? No one's going to pay income tax. So the question simply is this: would you rather pay by the traditional money rules, or would you like to play by the smart money rules? Again, we think it makes sense to play by the smart money rules. And that's exactly what we teach people to do. So I'm going to conclude with a short story here. So we have the story of two employees. You got employee A and employee B, both same age, both going to put money away for retirement. They got kids, all the normal great American stuff. All right. So he's putting money into his 401k, and we're saying, hey, he's putting in a significant amount, $5,000 a year. His employer is going to match half of that and put in $2,500 a year. but he knows he needs some life insurance, so he goes out and he buys a 30-year term policy, $500,000 30-year term policy. Cheapest insurance available. Costs him about $1,000 a year. Now, employee B, on the other hand, she's got no contributions, 401k, no employer match, but she goes out and buys a $500,000 index universal life policy. Yes, life insurance, cash value life insurance. Not new. This has been around for a long time, but no one told us. I mean, but it's what, Donald Trump, Walt Disney, Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, J.C. Penney, all use this concept to start their businesses. Now, she pays $6,000, just like he's paying. He's putting $5,000 401k, $1,000 into the life insurance plan. She's put $6,000 in. She also goes out and gets a family legal plan. So it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep. So who made the right decision? So now, when we look at this in retirement, she pulls out $38,000 a year, pays 0 taxes, and because it's a lifetime benefit, she never runs out of money. So if she lives to be 90 years old, she pulls out $880,000. Now this, of course, is in addition to Social Security and all those other things. Now, for him to get the same amount of money, he's got to pull out $51,000 so that the IRS / Uncle Sam can get his portion. And so he pulls out $51,000, $13,000 goes to taxes, $38,000 net income. At that rate, he runs out of money in 11 years. So the question is, who is more financially healthy? And we certainly believe she is. Now, this is assuming everything is smooth. It's like, they go to retirement and everything's okay. But how many of us know that life has a way to throw us twists, throws us a monkey wrench every once in a while? So let's just say at age 75, they need some assisted living care. So what happens with employee A? At that point, he's got $174,000 remaining in his 401k. He's got no life insurance. The average cost of assisted living is $132 a day. That's $48,000 a year. Now he's got to take out $64,000 so that the IRS can get their cut, that he nets $48,000. And he's got to go through all this money first before Medicare or Medicaid pays any of it. At that rate, he runs out of money in 2 years and 9 months. Employee B, on the other hand, she has $330,000 of cash value left in her life insurance, but she has a death benefit of $541,000. And she has critical illness, chronic illness coverage of $343,000. So she's covered for heart attack, stroke, cancer, and the assisted living. And so again, the average of $48,000 per year, her policy is going to cover 7 years. That gives her enough time to transfer her assets using her estate plan to protect her so that the cost of the assisted living doesn't eat up all of her money. So here's the bottom line. He's got no estate plan. She does. Family legacy, his is gone. It's been all eaten up by the assisted living facility. she leaves a legacy. And ultimately, there's no generational wealth for him, but she has generational wealth. She checks all three boxes. And so here's the thing. If you had to choose between these 5 protections, stock market, income tax, medical costs, legacy life insurance, and legal protections. If you had to choose one of those protections, which one would you pick? If you had to choose just one. And for most people, that's a very hard decision to make. Well, the good news is you don't have to choose. We want to give you all 5 protections. If we can qualify you for it, we want to give you all 5 protections. And so that's what we do at the Real Money Coach, is help you protect, increase, protect, and dominate your money. So folks, that is the new presentation. And you know, we would I love we got some comments over here. Marlon, you want to shoot down through the comments, man, and I can answer any questions that might be there. Get some feedback. What are our viewers saying here?
Well, Wayne said masterful, okay, and Chad said the facts and taxable now, and but I love this one. This is my favorite. She said, "Woo!"
Oh wow! So let's do this. Let's entertain some questions. If anyone has any questions about the presentation and the information that I just shared, let's talk. Thank you, Marie Gates. I know who that is.
Well, you know, Tony, I think a question while people are, you know, typing in their questions is, what would be the next step? You know, for families. I mean, we all have families and friends. How can people, you know, apply this? What would you encourage as the next step for, you know, if I have a family member or a friend that I know is struggling, you know, I mean, what do you suggest?
Well, you know, I think it really begins with a conversation. And, you know, I make this statement as if you qualify. And the fact is that there are some situations we can help. There's some situations we can't. You're like, wherever you are now, you are there, right? And we have to deal with the consequences of that. But we don't have to stay there. If we can make some changes that can help you down the road, we want to do that. If there's some things that we can do to offset, for example, the tax bill that's coming, in terms of, you know, when you pass that on to your beneficiaries, your heirs, how do we do that? Sometimes we got to do that with life insurance so that they need to pay the taxes. Sometimes, you know, it's a matter of transferring some things. And so there's a lot of different things that we can do, but every situation is different. And so, you know, usually when I first meet with someone, it's just a matter of just, you know, asking a lot of questions, you know, just, you know, and just get the feel for where you're at.
Yeah, I love that, you know, yeah, every situation is unique. And so, you know, having that consultation. So what's the best way to connect with you if somebody, you know, wanted for themselves or for a family or friend? I mean, what would they say? You know, I mean, is there a fee? Is it confidential? Is there obligation? What's going on? Because again, I think one of the things that's really alarming, you know, is the fact that people are suffering in silence. Yeah. And, you know, there's almost like a shame. There's like this, this embarrassment. I think that's a good word, embarrassment. And so can you talk to that, man? Because, you know, we all, I'll be the first one to raise my hand. You know, if I knew better, I'd do better. Looking back now, you know, I was talking to a friend And it was literally 35 years ago when I graduated from high school. And I'm like, where did time go? Right. And it feels like it's going faster now. It really does. So talk to that, Tony. I mean, we have, definitely we have a lot of viewers that have been on, since April. And how can they, what would they need to share with their family, their friends, so that they can encourage their family, friends to reach out to you? What would be, the language or, the invite, if you would?
Yeah, so I think, always emailing us at info@therealmoneycoach is a great way to start. And really, my preferred way is for you guys just go and schedule a time on my calendar. My calendar is at TonyJacksonAppointment.com. Get on the calendar. That's really the best way is to get on the calendar. And let's schedule it. That to me, that's easier than trading emails or trading text messages. Let's get right onto the calendar. Let's have a conversation. Let's see let's see where we go. And okay. I see some people on here, man, and I wish that if we knew then what we know now.
Wow.
What would we do different, right?
Right.
So, but we have to start here. And then the other thing is also is sharing the information with others. Sharing the information with others so that they know and they don't have to go down that same road that we have. And so, that's what I would say. Let's start with having a sit down and deciding on what makes sense. So I see we got a couple questions here we could address.
Yes.
Let's see what we got. All right. So it says, is it too late for someone wanting to play catch up? And actually it isn't. The one thing that we know is this, is that we are where we are right now. And so we can't do anything about the past. What we know is, what's the old proverb? Is the best time to plant a tree was 25 years ago. The next best time is right now. Right. And it's just a matter of and it's relative, right? So catch-upping is relative. Definitely there's some things that we can do to catch up. And it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, do those type of things fit my budget? Can I make it happen? But it's starting today. And the other thing I want to say about that is sometimes people say it's too late for me. But guess what? We can plan for the next generation or the next two generations. And I remember there's a quote, I'm not sure where the quote comes from, but it says that, rich people plan for 3 generations, poor people plan for Saturday night. Mm. And so let's put a plan in place. Not too late for us, and it's certainly not too late for the next generation. All right. So Tommy Day from Massachusetts, he asked this question. He says, are there options for people who are already drawing Social Security? That's a great question, because there are, but it's just a matter of what? Because I always ask the questions, the 3 questions that I talk about all the time is, what do you want this money or plan to do for you? I ask, where the money come from? What do you want it to do? And when do you want it to do it? And there are some strategies when it comes to Social Security. A lot of people don't realize, especially for married couples, you can start drawing Social Security, you can freeze it. There's some different options that you can do with Social Security. And I don't talk a lot about Social Security in the presentation because, but some of this, if you are drawing a certain amount of money, a lot of people think about it and they say, well, I can't make too much money because they'll reduce my Social Security. And we know that there's some reduction of Social Security for people if they're earning too much, at least until they get to full retirement age. But then there's also, if you make too much money, then there's also parts of your Social Security that would become taxable. and it can be up to 85% of it become taxable. Now, me personally, my initial thought is, man, I won't let that stop me from making money, right? But you know, it's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. All right, so we got Wayne from Atlanta. Wayne says, could you comment more on the index fund approach and insurance policy, which leads to unlimited income? Well, I think I'm not sure where the unlimited income part comes in, Wayne, but it's certainly not going to be taxable, but it will be lifetime. And then that's what you mean, lifetime. So with the index universal life, we can set that up so that it works like a pension. So you got your cash value that's invested in the S&P 500. And basically, long story short, what they're doing is they're buying options, and they're only exercising the option when the option makes money. If it doesn't make money, they don't exercise the option. That's how they guarantee you that you won't lose any money. And then at age 60 or later, you can actually turn that into lifetime income. And so the lifetime income will then last you for as long as you live. And that's a guaranteed lifetime income. So, all right. What else we got? Let's see. I'm going down through here. Love Alice Martin. She said, it lets me know I still have a few more miles to cover before I sleep. We'll be scheduled a future consultation. And Alice is a wonderful person, has done a wonderful job. And she is one of my favorite people coming out of the class at Mount Carmel. And I always tell Miss Martin this, I said, you're one of my favorite because my mama's name was Alice, right? So she's got it in with me already, for sure. And then we got Wayne Anthony again said Index Universal Fund. She's notes on how each person would pay a different amount, $6,000 premium annually. Yeah, in the example that I use, I did use $6,000 just so that we can show apples to apples. But again, you set the amount. And that's the other great thing about using the Index Universal Life, obviously, is that then you can adjust it for whatever your budget happens to be. And so, and yes, that $6,000 is after tax. It's after tax. And so there's not any other than cash value life insurance, there's really not another product out there that allows you to put money in, whether it's after tax or not, and be able to take that money out income tax free and never pay any tax on any level, whether it's state or local. A lot of people, talk about a Roth. Well, a Roth, you can do it, but there's stipulations. How much you can put into Roth, what your income limits are, and how long did you leave the money there. It's got to be one of the 5 reasons to take the money out. And then if you meet all that criteria, yes, it could be tax-free. But the thing about it is, Roth makes sense for some people. For some people, what we do, we call it a Roth on steroids. Thank you, Adele. Adele says it's not too late. She's letting you know, Marlon, it's not too late. She said, I started at 59. Now I'm 65. I was young, right? So that's all. Thank you for sharing that, Adele.
Thank you, Adele.
All right, Brad. What did Brad say? Brad said here, my wife said it was straight to the point, easy to follow. Thank you, Melissa, for saying that as we shared this with her. And so I want to say hi to Brandy. I see Brandy's checked in with us, one of our colleagues in the DMV area. So, man, it was, there it is, Marlon. Again, we want to encourage people to go to TonyJacksonAppointment.com. And obviously, guys, we get a lot of email, text messages. And, if we ever miss you, blame it on our head and not our heart. But if you put yourself on my schedule, we're going to have that appointment because we're going to be there. And we're going to we're going to talk to you, and we're going to just look at where you are. And I'll tell you, sometimes, man, when I sit down with people, it's a divine appointment, right? because we might do more praying than we do talking about your finances, right? Just depends. So, but I love what I do. I love working with you all. And, and I really, really my prayer is that I'm always able to put you in a position where you're better coming to me than you were leaving me than you were coming to me. And sometimes that simply means you're just better educated and you might be more empowered to go work with whoever you're working with. So,
all right. Well, thank you, Tony. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. One of the things I think is very important is that we understand that each one teach one, each one reach one. And so, again, TonyJacksonAppointment.com. Encourage your family, your friends. I mean, the value that we're bringing and Tony's heart. So we're excited, and remember, if you knew better, you do better. And excuses are the tools of the incompetent. Those who specialize in them seldom succeed. And so it's time for us as a family, as a community to raise up. And so I'm excited. I'm excited because I know that we are going higher and we're growing better. And so with that being said, have a great evening. Remember, what you do today will dictate where you'll be tomorrow. And as you know, a vision without action is just a dream. A lot of action without a vision is merely a passing of time. But a vision with action can change the world. Stay blessed.